Hey guys, 1 second here, bringing on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so the newest battlefield reset is finally here, and unfortunately they have gone back to the old format of battlefield with the multiple stages and requiring you to select quite a few units. I'd quite liked the change that we got from the special GDC ones, making everything a little bit shorter. You didn't have to worry about as many teams, which kind of made it easier to make some like strong category teams, because one of the big things with battlefield, unless you're somebody I guess who like makes a note of these things on like a notes app or a piece of paper or whatever, I think for me, if I tried to make 10 different category teams, I would constantly get confused and put like the wrong unit in a team, and then when I go to make one of the other teams later, realize I've used one of the units and the ones I have left don't fit on the category or anything like that. So I've always gone with the standard, making 10 monocolor teams that are categories within themselves, but like, you know, like my extreme tech is all worldwide chaos, so the leaders have the worldwide chaos leader skill, but it is just an extreme tech team. I've always gone for that kind of style because I just find it easier to remember everything. And so honestly, the most annoying thing about this battlefield reset was having to go back through and reset all of my characters. Like, I've just been doing that before recording the video, and it took me a good while because I did want to update the teams a little bit to the ones that I had before. Some of them had ended up being the same, but some of them were a little bit different. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in and just chat about the game in general and stuff as we go through here, because Battlefield normally, for at least the very beginning, is pretty straightforward and not very difficult. We don't have to think too much. Now, as you can see here, I've got some extra like low-class warrior characters, but basically I just want to bring Team Bardock. This is my preferred strategy that I would recommend for this normal standard battlefield like setup with this level of fights, is that for the very first fight, you just want to make a team that's like the Ginyu Force or the Bardock Squad. I guess now we could use the team that is like the clones from the GDC. They would obviously be very... I mean, funnily enough, you could make the clone team and that team actually be useful for one of the later fights even, because that team is so good. You just have to make sure you put on the units for like leading them. If you have the STR Rose, if you have like Int Zamasu, like Fusion Zamasu, because obviously for Battlefield you need 7 characters for the team because you're essentially providing the friend leader yourself. And obviously there are only 5 clones, so you have to bring 2 units to function as the leads for that team. But this first fight is always super easy. You pretty much just one-shot the boss. There's been some ones before where the boss has like a decent chance to dodge, but as soon as you connect with one hit, you pretty much just kill them, and they're not really able to do a lot of damage to you. So the main reason why you want to do that is because the last boss is always the same typing as the first fight, right? So the last boss is going to be Int, which means if you're going the route that I have, where, like I say, you make the monocolor teams, that means that the final boss is going to be Int, but we still have both of our physical teams because we didn't use a physical team in the first phase. We just used the Bardock Squad, right? And then I also normally try and bring, like, I have a backup team as well. So like I've made a heroes team. So basically I have 10 mono teams, the Bardock Squad, and then like a heroes team as well, because I can either use that for the last fight if I want to, just for fun, because I like using the heroes units, or if somehow along the way we make a mistake or we just get unlucky with a rotation or something like that, and if we do lose one of the fights along the way towards the end, we can obviously then tag back into that fight and just use the heroes team, or we could use one of the physical teams if we wanted to, but I do prefer going with like the type advantage kind of scenario wherever possible, because if you build a team that is mixed typings and then as you get to the later fights, like getting caught with like a type disadvantage super is obviously something that you don't really want to happen. So it's a lot easier to just do it this way, I think. So move on to level 2. The first 2 levels are never really anything particularly difficult. We got super physical Yamcha. He doesn't really have any special abilities. He's got a bit of damage reduction, but when it comes to extreme STR, I basically have like a terrifying Conquerors team, so just throw a bunch of these guys on there. Some of them aren't getting their full passives, like Bojack with Space Traveling Warriors, like the Cool Lisa. We don't have a ton of Wicked Bloodline characters. Lord Slug, it's obviously not like a full demonic power team or anything like that, but again, these earlier phases are not really super difficult. And as we know in Dokkan on the whole, the superclass teams usually weigh in to be stronger than extreme class setups. So I usually use all the extreme teams first. So again, in these earlier phases, the bosses aren't super tough. I mean, we get instantly slot 1 supered and just take double digit damage. So, and then the LR Turles crew here, the 27 million super. A lot of these early fights, yeah, you're just going to be one-turning these bosses. It's a shame that physical Turles wasn't very good. I like Turles, even though I still think it's weird and I guess like lazy back then, I suppose, like decision making. I don't know. Like it's weird that he just looks exactly like Goku, but I do like Turles. If we get a new one sometime soon, that would be good, because the physical one was a little bit underwhelming. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do this. As you can see, I do have the Frieza there, the new Frieza and Gogeta, but the reason why he's on the roster is actually for technically the Super, but he's an extreme. But for the Super Tech team, I built a Movie Heroes team. But of course, he is a Movie Heroes unit as well, so he goes on that team. Obviously, the fights are normally fairly short, so we actually won't even really get a chance to actually fuse into, well, I say fuse, to reverse exchange into Gogeta. Maybe if the last fight is like AGL at some point, then maybe, because obviously with the team of superclass allies, you can exchange into Gogeta on turn 3. So maybe at some point, but with this one being int, I wouldn't be saving my tech team for the final boss fight anyway, right? So can quite easily storm through these first 2 phases here. I mean, this is the thing, right? This is why I liked the shorter version of it, because it's kind of like the complaint that I make about like the beginning of Festival of Battles, right? Is all these extra fights are just like super easy. So I think it's cool having that format where there was the slightly less fights overall. I realise I've kind of messed up here, because I brought a... Actually, no, they are all movie bosses, yeah. Every unit here is a movie boss, but they also fit under Broly's lead of either being Uncontrollable Power, Revenge, or Planetary Destruction. So, and then Eos is there, obviously, for the Heroes team. But, yeah, this is one of the few teams that I changed. My Extreme Int team before was like a very weird combination of just having, like, Intmar Jr. as the lead, I think. And then... just a bunch of extreme int units that fit under his leader skill, and I had like the 60% support Scout of Vegeta just as like the sub leader. But yeah, we can make a team with the Brolys here. Int Broly being on the first rotation, it's obviously pretty funny because we can just use the domain here thanks to having the Janemba, because these guys are all on uncontrollable power. And yeah, we literally do over half of the boss's HP just with activating Broly's domain and active skill. That of course gives Broly guard. So yeah, he's going to just eat all these hits in slot 1, finish this guy off, and then we can move on to stage 3. Stage 3 is the only one I think where it's like people start to get some issues. And I do say, I should go back to what I was saying, right, about the fights being too easy. Obviously that is for someone like me that has an end game level account, like, you know, all these units, Rainbow Link level 10, all this kind of stuff. And obviously Battlefield can be harder if you don't have as powerful a box. I remember the long-standing saga like a few years back where like Jay Fanto would only be able to get a certain way through Battlefield with only free-to-play units. But again, I guess to be fair, that's him with his account with like the self-imposed handicap of like only using free-to-play characters. Because obviously if you're someone who is free-to-play, you still summon like with the stones that you get, right? So I think for most people, Battlefield, it starts off being quite difficult. Like as a newer player, just being able to have enough units to fill out to make all the teams can obviously be an issue, like right at the very start. But once you get sort of established and you build like your teams, like I say, I think the mono teams are the way to go. But there are a lot of those free-to-play teams. Like all the free-to-play teams I mentioned for the first couple of fights, you could bring all of them to just do all of the level 1 fights. The Bardock team, the Ginyu Force, the Clone team, like that's going to get you through a few of the fights straight away as it is. And then I know some people do just make category teams with like mixed typings and everything, and just make your strongest teams. If you're someone that can easily remember your setups for those, like without having to write them down or anything like that can be a way to go. But it's just such a huge mix of units, right? So like if I'm making a team that's got like, you know, let's say I'm making the team that can be led by like Tech Vegito and AGL Vegeta, because of their crossover with like Fused Fighters and Pure Saiyans and stuff. There's going to be so many units on that team build that could then be on one of the other team builds that I then make, like if I make a Movie Heroes team or a Pure Saiyans team. And it's just one of those things where like it only takes one mistake of like putting one unit on one team, and then when you come to make the other team you realise that you've used the unit already and none of the other ones you have left actually fit on their leader skill, which at the beginning wouldn't be too bad because the fights aren't so hard, but obviously the problem is if you make that realisation once you've come near to the end, or especially worst case scenario at the very final fight, you don't want to then be fielding a team where you're running like a unit with no lead. Or I guess it'd be better to do that than to not put a unit on there and have a Cyberman. But yeah, that would be kind of annoying because then you have to restart the whole thing all over again. So that's why I think the mono team strategy is the best way forward, because it's just very easy to remember. It's like I can't accidentally put like an extreme AGL unit on my Super AGL team, because my Super AGL team is all Super AGL obviously and all Goku family. So I'm not going to accidentally put like Zamasu or Super 17 or something like that on this team, right? Same with the other way around, because I'm using the extreme teams at the very beginning. So I'm not going to be using my like extreme Zamasu leader and then accidentally putting like Super Saiyan 4 Goku on the team, right? So I find it easier to manage it that way. If you have your own strategy, then obviously whatever works for you is the way to go. So I made a Pure Saiyans team here and just threw a bunch of strong Pure Saiyan characters on here, although I think I realised we don't have a Future Saga ally for the Goku. But again, Battlefield, not super hard. That's the problem with having to start all over again and like essentially having to revamp my entire list, is some of the teams I couldn't remember. I think I built my Super STR team last time. It was like Beast Gohan lead and then Kaba. So it was characters, it was like superhero, whatever Beast Gohan's leader skill is, right? Because Kaba can just do any Super STR. So it was like Beast Gohan, Superhero, Bond of Master and Disciple. Is it Miraculous Awakening, his other leader skill? And just all of the characters were Super STR for those three categories. Kaba is on there because of Bond of Master and Disciple. And then obviously he's just giving Super STR the secondary lead and the support. He took a lot of damage from Frieza in slot 1. I wasn't expecting that because obviously these guys get guard and they get a decent boost from the orbs that they get. But that was quite a bit more damage than I was expecting Kaba to take in slot 1 from Frieza. But obviously this is one of the weaker versions of the mono teams, because I've got a leader skill from Super Vegeta, which is what, 170, or was his 180 after his ECA, and then Kaba's is only like, I think it's 150 for the 70% supports or 60% supports. So maybe I'll like revamp the Super STR build a little bit for the next one, but try and figure out and go back to the old one that I had set up. But either way, we're still going to be okay here. This Frieza can be attack lowered, so although this could be a slight issue if he supers in slot 1 again. Who's got more defense? They got 169, they got 179. Okay. Although one red orb's not going to be enough for them at the end anyway. Okay, well he didn't super, so we still took 65k though. Jeez. But obviously Vegeta gets the guaranteed crit. Doesn't get the additional, damn. We might actually die here. Bruh. The Super STR team letting me down. Yeah, 253k. Oof. This is the first time I've lost in Battlefield in ages, and it's on video. How embarrassing. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to use our... we'll just have to sub in our heroes team here then, I guess. So, you and you. And we got you. Wait. Oh no, not you. Goku's for my super physical for the Goku family team. So hopefully we get a decent starting rotation here, because yeah, that was it's a little bit annoying. Although I think if we have our... yeah, we get Goku's active skill straight away, don't we? So... well, there you go. At least we have an STR unit on the rotation. We've got a bit of support. Damn. Yeah, I can't believe Kaba got absolutely rocked in slot 1 by Frieza on that first turn, which was unfortunate. But, oh well. The Heroes team subbing in. Again, this is why, like, you get to put in more units than just the 10 teams you need for the 10 fights, right? So, this is what I'm saying about, like, having the Heroes team there to be a sub team, just in case something goes wrong and we end up losing a fight. We can just tag them in. So now we have our tech, which will be our movie heroes team. So you lead movie heroes and you lead movie heroes as well. And then there we go. No, it's not a movie boss or a pure Saiyan enemy. So God Goku doesn't have his full buffs. I like him being in the team just for the events where he does get his full buffs. Because he can obviously be super helpful in that scenario. But he's still a good unit to have on the team regardless. Go ahead and do this. These guys can be sealed. So I don't know if we don't have anyone on the team that's actually going to be able to do that here. Apart from God Goku, actually. So this would have been a good first turn. If we had God Goku on the rotation, we'd just be able to seal them up straight away. It's always worth checking the things for which characters, the bosses, what they're actually going to be susceptible to. Because when it comes to building your teams, again, I go for the 10 mono strategy, but putting characters on that can stun or seal or attack lower and stuff like that is quite good, because not every fight is going to allow you to do that, but the ones that do, you obviously can get a huge benefit. One of the final bosses for a little while that people struggled with when he first dropped was the Metal Cooler, with the Metal Cooler army. They could super multiple times, they could be very annoying, until you realised they could have every single status effect put on them. So if you're building your team with stunners and sealers and stuff like that, you could end up just completely locking them down and they can't really do anything. So it's the only thing you really had to worry about was their first attacks on the first turn. And I remember one of the times I think they were STR, so using an AGL team, and it's UI Goku, who has guaranteed dodge on turn 1, he's in slot 1, and then straight away in slot 2 a unit that can seal. And then that's it. From that point on, the fight was just a complete joke. So bringing units that can apply the status effects is definitely very useful. Damn, Tech Vegeta taking a big hit in slot 3 here as well. Alright, well now we can get the seal. We have a movie unit, movie heroes Goku, so big buff for Gohan here. Let me just grab these. But yeah, God Goku can get the seal here, so shouldn't have to worry too much. I can't imagine he's going to take much damage from normal attacks. Not double digits though, but Gohan at 33 mil. Yeah, I'm trying to think what my Super Tech team was last time. I think it was a weird combo. It was using the Tech Vegito lead. And it was just units that were under Tech Vegito's lead. And then I'm trying to think who I even had as the sub leader. It might have just been God Goku, because his sub lead is just Super Tech. But yeah, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan coming in clutch and taking them out. Had a couple of closer calls. I mean, the SDR one obviously did actually end with us losing, but Super Tech, in fact, let me just double check. What are these guys doing? So, can't be attack or defense lowered. They got damage reduction. They can heal. They can reduce damage below a certain amount to 0, and they get 10% extra attack with each turn passed. But as you can see, right, there's no mention of stunning or sealing, so they can be stunned and sealed. And the funny thing is, my Super Int team is a Bond of Master and Disciple team. And we've got the Whis and Vados, who obviously very good for status effects here. We also have obviously Vegeta and Trunks, who are very good. So let's go ahead and do this. Gohan, of course, the Super Int, 60% support. And then we've got Whis in the last slot there as well. So we should be good here. I'd be very surprised if they take any damage here in slot 1. Getting hit a whole bunch of times here first is obviously very helpful as well, because that gives them a nice little bit of build-up. But yeah, the Int Bond of Master and Disciple team, this is pretty much, I think, the exact same build I was using for my Super Int team before. I think the next turn we're kind of lacking a very good slot 1 unit. Because like the Vados and Whis have the potential for dodging. The Gohan, obviously, if you get enough orbs, can be decent defensively. Although we saw what happened to Kaba against Frieza, so maybe relying on them for slot 1ing is not super ideal. But fortunately, most of the attacks are in slot 1 here against Vegeta and Trunks. So nice. Gohan with the 0 damage. Let's go. Oh, Whis not actually doing any damage or any status effects. I thought he... Oh, actually no, he might just lower attack, which obviously they can't be attack lowered. So do I just rely on Int Vados to dodge? She does have a 70% chance to dodge. Yeah, why not? Damn, I didn't want all those Int orbs for you, but unfortunately he needs 2 key. Oh well, you can get them and that's still 24 key for you, so... There we go. Couple of dodges, and then I think Vados does seal, so then that puts us in a good spot here going forward, so now we can't be super attacked, and we don't need to worry. Because yeah, next time we've got Vegeta and Trunks and Blue Evolution Vegeta, so we should do some pretty solid damage. It's funny though, these guys having the damage threshold, because like bringing characters who are for like status effect utility, they're obviously not often not hitting as hard as some of the other units. They still apply the status effects though, which obviously otherwise it'd be super annoying. Like imagine if a unit did 0 damage, it then meant they didn't seal or like stun or anything like that. It'd be super annoying for stuff like this, but I think we should be good here. Yeah, if Gohan... This guy, like, got so much, like, I want to say hate. It was almost like nothing, like no reaction. This guy was like 0 hype on release, that Kid Gohan. But like, he was actually quite good. Because at the time of his release, one of the hardest fights was against the Sin. Which obviously final stage being physical. And when that Gohan was fully built up, he could just tank that super, type disadvantage. Which was more than some units could do at that time, even type neutral. But yeah, those part 2 characters, even the AGL Spirit Bomb Goku, like that part 2 just seemed to have no hype to it at all. And like people complain, and like people who like Gohan and like people defending the choices and everything like to say it wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. Like I think the unit was good. I think it were over, like they were disrespected with how much people didn't care. But like people talked about it at the time, Truth, Nano, I saw it with my own thing. Like the AGL Spirit Bomb Goku wasn't as bad, but like every video that was about the Int Gohan, like his original showcase, taking him then up against like one of the hardest fights in the game, any videos about that Int Gohan just got way less views than all the other videos that we were making at the time. And like I say, that's not just me, that's like Truth, Nano. Yeah, for some reason people just did not care about that unit, which is a shame because it was actually pretty good. But anyway, we are now finally at the end. We're against Trunks, who is Super Int. So let's double check here and just see what he does. So can't be sealed, can't be stunned. He can be attack lowered though, and he can dodge. He also he gets extra attack. Attack lowered when a character whose name includes Future Gohan. So if you bring a Future Gohan against this guy, his attack is lowered. So that's interesting. Because obviously if I'm doing a super physical, there is the super physical Super Saiyan Future Gohan. So could throw him on the team for the reruns of this before they change the typings, I guess. Alright, so we don't have the best starting rotation. I mean, this Gohan does have relatively good defense. So we can do this. Got to make sure we get the 5 orbs for Path to Power Kid Goku. We got a lot of rainbow orbs on the field though, which is good. Right, there we go. It gives everybody that little bit of extra damage reduction as well. So we should be looking okay here to start with. And of course he's going to super straight away. 144. Okay. Yeah, we got the Goku family lead from God Goku and the sub lead from the Xeno Goku. Man, Majin Vegeta needs to get his Easy A soon, the Int Majin Vegeta, because then obviously the next Saiyan Day unit in line is that physical God Goku. And man, that unit was just so good. Like, on release, he was the best unit in the game. Such a good leader skill. He, like, stayed relevant for such a long time. Like, I really, really can't wait for his Easy A and for him to be usable again in the meta. Like, he's just such a super fun unit. I know his people, like, weren't super happy with, like, the active skill. And, like, the transformation into the Super Saiyan, like, wasn't as crazy. But you kind of just ended up using that really more as, like, a finisher at the end of events. Because the God Goku form was so good and had the stacking and everything. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to him, like, being meta relevant again. But as you can see here, the team doing a very decent amount of damage in this first turn. After Power Kid Goku Easy A, I really, really like. I like throwing him on the teams that he can be run on. For that support, the little bit of extra damage reduction is obviously really helpful, but he does also hit pretty hard as well, so he works out quite nicely. And then, yeah, we can just go ahead and have God Goku in slot 1. We get the 6 orbs that we need. And then just grab these and grab these. Xeno Goku obviously giving the Goku family support as well. So, yeah, we should be looking pretty good here. God Goku getting all the dodges in slot 1. But yeah, like, imagine seeing this guy back in action again. Like, dodging all of those hits and then dropping, like, you know, 30 odd. I guess because he's a stacker, I don't think he'd necessarily start off going completely crazy. But yeah, seeing this guy like being back into relevance again will be super fun. He has guard with the right amount of orbs as well, so even if he doesn't dodge, he doesn't necessarily take that much damage. Of course, I say that. 370k, wow. I feel like they buffed some of these bosses from the pre-GDC version, because I feel like some of these guys are hitting way harder than I remember them hitting before. I mean, I know God Goku with very few stacks is obviously not a unit that is going to be out here tanking supers. But I wonder if I could get the... Is there a thing on Dokkan info for Clash? Yeah, there is. Let's have a look. So, final boss Trunks. Okay, well, Xeno Goku finished him off, but does it say how much damage he does? HP, attack, defense, damage reduction. Actually, doesn't say how much damage he does. Interesting. Well, anyway, there we go. So that is the full clear. We still had our extreme physical team left over just in case something did go wrong. So we managed to get through, and of course we get all our missions along the way, and then the rest are in the gift box. So a decent chunk of stones just for playing through the new reset. Let me know how you guys got on. What did you use for your teams? Have you gone back to the 10 mono teams? Do you use category teams? Did you find it very annoying having to go through and reset them all like I did? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.